While thinking about how zero isn't real, I came across something that triggered a whole chain of thoughts that ultimately led to my brain melting a little as I considered a deeper explanation for the nature of existence. Because I had to think about it, I am now dumping it onto you. You're welcome. It first started because I was looking up photons, and I saw that photons are described as having zero mass. Theoretically, this shouldn't be possible, because zero mass would mean that they don't really exist. Clearly, photons do exist, because we can see light. So if they don't have mass, then what enables them to exist at all? As it turns out, people treat particles like photons and electrons as fundamental particles. There is nothing beyond them, which I think is only partially true. There is no smaller building block piece, that part is likely true, but I do think there is a deeper force at play. These particles don't exist for no reason, so I went ahead and found one. Particles tend to be described as excitations in something else, which means they're not really made of anything. They're more like the vibrational frequencies of a universal substrate. This would mean that all fundamental particles we know of are basically the same thing, just different stable frequencies that we can interact with. It would be like how sound waves are all basically the same concept, but different frequencies make different sounds. That idea sparked a whole bunch of different tangents, so I'm just going to start where I did originally. My first thought was that the Big Bang probably was how the universe started, but it was a shockwave that vibrated the substrate of the universe and created the existence of various forms of matter and energy and whatever else. The expansion of the universe is just a shockwave still echoing out after the initial impact, which means it's not going to stretch forever, but it will dissipate and probably bounce back a little before stabilizing. It would be the equivalent of smacking a drum. Since the universe is nothing but vibes, that would mean that black holes are not really holes in anything. They're more like the broken string of a guitar that won't stop making noise. They're unstable frequencies within the substrate, which is why things end up warped near them. It's not that they're so dense that they pull things inward, it's that their frequency is so chaotic that they warp the very existence of anything that gets too close. This can also kind of explain why gravitational orbit is a thing, because orbiting a black hole, or anything, is just being in line with, the circular frequency it emits. Denser things means more frequencies in one place, and more frequencies means larger echoes through the substrate. In this case, dark matter isn't really anything in a typical sense, it's more like a chaotic unstable frequency in the substrate. It's like radio static. You can hear it, but it doesn't actually mean anything. Dark matter would just be matter that hasn't taken on a stable form yet. Next, I thought about how if particles really are just vibrations, then smashing them together in something like the Large Hadron Collider would of course disrupt the stable frequencies of our common particles, which briefly creates an exotic particle that doesn't normally exist. If you disrupt the frequency of a particle, you end up with a new frequency. Now, if these exotic particles, like the Higgs boson or whatever, if they can't continue to exist after forming, what exactly is keeping things like electrons stable? If black holes are just jumbled frequencies of vibrations echoing out into this theoretical substrate, then it seems almost inevitable that the supermassive black holes at the center of each galaxy would give off certain frequencies around them that could very well be unique to that black hole. Our galaxy would then have its own set of stable particles that we have discovered, because our stable particles are only stable due to the resonance they have with our galaxy's black hole. A different galaxy could possibly have a completely different set of fundamental particles simply because the black hole keeping it together vibrates differently than ours. Let's say that it's even more granular than that. Perhaps the fundamental particles change based on how far away you are from the center of the galaxy. This would mean that traveling through space is not only a distance issue, but a matter of holding yourself and your ship in its own stable frequencies to prevent it and you from transforming into alien materials. An electron on our planet could be completely different in another ring of our galaxy, which is insanity, and it explains why aliens aren't seen or heard from. It's because traveling the galaxy means risking being melted into some unknown particles. It's another very good reason that we don't see aliens or alien wreckage. Without some kind of technology to shield them from our natural frequencies, they just fall apart and turn into Earth particles. A terrifying state of affairs, honestly. If existence is nothing but a certain collection of vibrations in a universal substrate, then it explains basically every unexplainable oddity that can't be proven or disproven. There are so many vibrational frequencies interacting all the time that there are going to be some situations that create an odd interaction or a weird resonance that differs from our normal existence. These things aren't fake because they can't be easily reproduced, they're just the result of frequency distortions at a level below fundamental particles. They are brief moments of instability that end up corrected, like two ripples in water that crash into each other and create a strange third ripple when combined. Eventually the water returns to normal, and it can be very challenging to recreate the same circumstances to cause that odd third ripple a second time. Back to black holes. If our galaxy center is the source of our existence, then it makes sense that certain particles, like photons, just behave a certain way by default. They're acting off of the vibrations of the supermassive black hole, so all the energy needed comes from that center source. I bet that without that black hole at the center of the galaxy, we wouldn't exist at all. Maybe nothing would exist without it. If I'm right, and we manage to map these frequencies, it would theoretically be possible to create matter out of energy by imitating the right vibrations. How exciting. That's my theory. I'm going back into my cave to write about slimes and other stupid shit.